Hello everyone and welcome to the Deeply Renegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deeply Renegade, and I'd like to welcome you guys to episode 283. Today is Saturday, July 6, 2019, and I'm glad you could join me today. Tour de Fleece started today, which is very exciting. So I am in the process of clearing bobbins and starting new projects and all of that fun stuff. So that's exciting. And then I have been still working on the same knitting projects as well, so not too crazy. It was a little bit stressful this week. It was the case where I was hoping to get photographs Wednesday or something like that, but it turned out that they were already booked up. And then I get a call Thursday morning being like, hey, we can do pictures Friday morning. And it's like, okay, there's not too much more we need to do. 13 hours later, we're ready. We're almost ready. We probably spent another hour before the photographer actually showed up getting stuff. One does not simply. So I think the good news is that because we were really low on time, we only did what absolutely needed to be done, because it probably would have just dragged into the entire weekend. So we're having a super duper chill weekend as a result of that tremendous, furious amount of work on the 4th. So, in that regard, not so bad. It was like decent amount of coffee today. So, good to be chill. And I guess I could finish this row before I show you guys what's going on. So, what has probably received most of the love this week is my Inara wrap, if any love at all. And it is an Amba O'Brien pattern that I'm knitting out of Canon hand dyes in 7 different colors. The neutral is Naked Bruce, and then I have a gradient of Leo, which is a merino cashmere nylon fingering. And I guess I'm going to have to unfurl it as well. So I am in the 10th section now, so this is getting much closer to being done. And I am still enjoying my daisy chain. It seems like I can put the beat down on someone with this, but whatever. It's definitely keeping things much better contained. So I finished section 9. So I was working on the neutral and dark teal section, and I am now into my blue purple. So I'm actually really happy with how it's sort of, how this one goes into the other one. I think that's pretty cool. So, not too crazy. So, getting much closer. So I just have, what would it be? One more neutral block to go, and then another brightly colored one, and then I'll be done. And that was somewhat on purpose to keep me going. So I think it's turning out pretty fun, all things considered. Sort of spreading the gradient out both ways with the neutral. And it is pretty mindless, so that's good as well, because that's sort of where I am right now. I don't need a lot of thinking. So I've been doing a lot of walking because I've been wizard uniting, and this is a pretty good project to carry around while listening for things to happen. And waiting to be able to get more spell energy from the inns, because I clearly do not have enough spell energy to do much of anything. What would it be? It has resulted in a lot of walking, so I've pretty much like doubled my step count since starting to play, so too crazy. And I don't know, it's just sort of fun as a knot. So this has been getting a decent amount of love. Maybe I'll have another section done for next week. That would be exciting. We shall see. I'm sure we'll end up watching some more Good Omens tonight, and that, I don't know, maybe we won't. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. But of course I'm in the middle of a row here. In fact, I'm actually pretty close to the beginning of the row. So this hasn't seen oodles of work, but this is my vitamin D. It is a Heidi Kermeyer that I'm knitting out of Claudia hand painted yarn Contemplation lace, which is a 100% linen lace weight, and the Lone Star color. I am alternating two skeins right now. One of them I'm pulling from the inside, the other one from the outside, and I think moving forward I should only pull from the outside. And then I have my yarn in a tube because it's totally gonna fall apart. I might end up rewinding the first ball just to whatever at some point when I'll need to break for a sleeve. I think that'll be a good time. So I'm alternating because I just have no clue what's gonna end up turning. I have no clue what's gonna happen. In an attempt to prevent any awkward pulling, though it is a very the pattern has widely varying stitch counts, so that is definitely a plus when you're wanting to avoid pulling because it's changing so much. You start getting stacks and pools when your stitch count is static, or you get super awkward pooling when you do like whatever, like waist decreases and whatever, all that fun stuff. So I think it's turning out more random, stripedy, which I think is fine. It's gonna be a long row. So I have not yet separated for the sleeves, which is, what would it be? I didn't get a lot of love. I'm closer, that's for sure, but okay. I'm pulling from ball number 2 right now, so I guess that's good information to know. So it should turn out, so what's probably going to end up happening is I'm going to use skeins 1 and 3 for the sleeves, and leave 2 attached to the work because I will be back to skein 1 by the time I want to separate a sleeve, and I'll be working that flat and seeing what happens. If I am very displeased with what happens, then I will start working in the round and accept the fact that my gauge might be a little bit tighter. This actually is sort of an interesting case study of a project. So I'm going to be doing a planned pooling breakout at SSK, which is not too far away. And so yarn like this is actually a pretty good example of what's going on when you're dealing with planned pooling or that sort of thing. So the color repeats are not very long. I think that they are fairly regular. I think that And so you get planned pooling when you have a convergence between your gauge, the length of the color, and the number of stitches you have. So that's why you'll end up getting changes in pooling when you change your stitch count. You will get changes in pooling depending on your stress. And you will get changes in pooling based on whether you are knitting or purling. So what type of stitch you're knitting will also affect your gauge. And doing a planned pooling project gets you all up close and personal with that sort of stuff. So I packed my only planned pooling project. So, and I'm not opening boxes to go find it, but I will have to, what needs to happen is I need to put together a handout which can sort of help demystify some of the stuff about it. And I think it'll end up being pretty fun. So part of this is verifying that you can actually get planned pooling, the right type of cast on in order to maintain planned pooling throughout the entire thing, being okay with the fact that you may need to knit with 2 different size needles if you're working back and forth. If you're working around, it's probably easier. If you're working in garter, it's easier, but sometimes you want to do other things. Or a lot of lace ends up being more stockinette background, so. Let's see, what else do we want to talk about? So I probably will need to have various examples of yarn that will be good or bad for planned pooling. And then we'll figure out whether or not it needs to be a hands-on sort of thing or not. I think it would be fun to have it be hands-on because I think the best way of learning how is to do. So, but yarn like this, which has relatively short color repeats, regular repeats of color, makes it totally possible to do a planned pooling project. And I'm sure at some point this will do something strange, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting challenge to manage what pooling it wants to do or not, or just accept the fact that it's going to do what it's going to do. And part of the reason why I'm alternating skeins from either end of the ball was if the color repeat wasn't the same sequence on the other side, that would be a good way of breaking things up. I wanted to start with a totally different color, so at the very least then I would have 2 rows stacking instead of all the rows stacking. And I think the other thing was that I really wasn't sure, because this is hand-dyed yarn, so I didn't want awkward lines. So that's why I'm going to be trying to incorporate all of the balls as quickly as possible, with an eye toward eliminating ball 1 as soon as possible, because it's going to explode. So I think so far so good. The pooling is probably going to change a decent amount on this when I break the sleeves off, but it doesn't seem like it was too stacked up the last I looked, so hopefully it won't be too crazy. And the hope would be to make this to use as much of the yarn as possible, so it'd be the case where when I tried on the sample it used 2.5 skeins, but I plan on using all 3 to maximize my knitting delight. And so that's going to result in nice sort of whatever, a nice long sort of flowy shape to it. So that shouldn't be too crazy. It's just lots of knitting. Yeah, no, there's no way I'm gonna finish this row. Oh well, such is life. I hadn't thought about that when I started. So it's coming along. It's I have another pair of rows after I finish this one before I split, so it's not like totally autopilot, sadly, but such is life. Yeah, it's just call it done. So slowly but surely. So there are definitely, for example, the spot here, there was a lot of blue that stacked on itself. But other than that, I don't think it's been too crazy so far. I think I'll need to get the stitch count down again in order to prevent that from occurring. So, I'm going along, not very fast, but better than nothing at all. So, I think I'm just going to take this off the wheel. I have the wheel bizarrely on the other side today. So, I finished my singles for my seconds. So this is my last third of Ginny the Fleece, which is a Corriedale cross BFL cross Shetland. So half Corriedale, quarter BFL, quarter Shetland cross. And this I dyed in dark sultry colors, this last third, even though it was the lightest fleece. And I spun this sort of, I don't know, I was just sort of alternating between woolen and worsted on this guy, just sort of depended on how I felt. And because they're seconds, there are definitely some chunks of texture in it. Just keep pulling back till it snaps in. There we go. So you can see some of the chunkies in there. It is sort of a midnighty bluey purple with like a haze of green. So the green, I think, is actually from the weak tips on the fleece. Sadly, a lot of weak tips. Insane. And so a lot of my chunkies are probably that. But what I'm going to do next is I'm actually going to hand wind this into a center pull ball and then two ply it. And I'll just switch my ratio so it's just a little bit slower. I'll switch my ratio so it's a smidge slower for plying and go from there. So glad that the singles are done. I got to put away a plastic grocery bag that was holding all that fiber away, so not too crazy. And hopefully, I know this second skeins I think ended up turning out a little bit heavier, so I bet I'll get a little bit more yardage. The sister skeins to this one are packed away. So hopefully this will be wrapped up soon. And then what's going on next is my culling waist, or my hackle waist. So I have my sort of blues and purples, I have my teals, and then I have my lighter purples. So I'm going to be spinning these on a bobbin a piece, making a 3-ply, and sort of getting a sense for how everything is sampling. So it's a little bit shorter, but part of this is just making sure that the colors are the way I want them to be, but I'm pretty happy with the colors at this point. Yeah, so that's going to be what's happening next on the wheel, and then hopefully sometime during Tour de Fleece I can actually start on the proper sweater spin itself. But obviously I have a little bit of limited time before I'll be out for the rest of the month. So what would it be? Because I'm going to be out for a decent chunk of July, what this means is that I am all ready to go on a new spindle project. So this was the Lumber bat that I ended up getting from Wild Onion, the Fun Onion, and I am participating in the Tour de Fleece. So this is Tavudu. Sorry. Every year the theme is French, but so I pulled out my Bowser spindle because I wanted to have an excuse to take it out for a spin, and it's nice. And I have stuffed a bag with the 5.2 ounces of bat. So I just pulled this through my Diz. I figured that was going to be a decent way, and there's just various chunks in here. And honestly, I probably need to pull it all out and stick it all back in for funsies. Ooh, we got some. So this is I don't know how I fit it in the bag. It's probably compressing it, sadly. So I have sort of various lengths that I've pulled. I don't even know what to do with all of this. So there's some sari silk in here. There's some purple glitter. There is, what would it be? Sort of greens and browns and blues and light teals and like these light pops of purple as well. So it should be very interesting to spin. And I think my plan is to my plan is probably to spin fine and chain ply. So I'm not sure whether or not I'm actually going to finish this during the Tour de Fleece, but I'm going to have an awful lot of spinning time. And it's probably folly to spin 5 ounces of something on a spindle, but whatever. I figured that was going to be the best use of all of the free time that I have coming up. So Tour de Fleece will probably, or whatever, Tour de Fleece will be over by the time I finish spinning this, so it may just be a back burner project for a while, but I figure that it will make something fairly substantial. I'm sort of curious how it's going to look, and I figure that this way, I think that's how I want to do the color play on this one, is letting things just sort of fall on top of each other as they will. So, there's so much of it. So the hope is that I get this mixed up enough, because I had 2 different bats and their compositions, while similar, were different, and so hopefully that will mix it up, and probably what's going to end up happening is I will just grab a length and start spinning from it. So should be fun. So I just need to put together a leader. I'm probably going to spin it pretty fine. And I'll probably have to wind off the copper a couple of times in order to get this finished, but it shouldn't be too crazy. I just don't have another container to put a Turkish in, so as you do. So I'm excited. It was a lot of fun pulling this. I'm very curious how the browns and purples are going to integrate in this one, but I think this is going to be a lot of fun. So it should be interesting. Am I biting off more than I can chew? Maybe. Am I putting more stuff in here than I should? Yes. As I spin it, it will take less room. Ooh. And then there's just all sorts of random fun that attach to my armchair like this. Because I just pulled it from here. So, we lost some. A lot of stuff's going in here. So, whatever. So, hopefully this won't be too crazy. I'm excited. I'm excited to get a chance to do a proper project on my Bosworth, so ticks a couple of boxes. And sort of being kind of myself about not obsessing. Like, this is because I won't have my wheel with me, so. So, shouldn't be too crazy. It gives me a chance to work on a spindle project, which will be fun. And yeah, it'll be enjoyable. So, got that. There's a decent amount of coffee left. So, in an effort to sort of keep momentum going, I also have another spindle project going. You guys have seen this before, but I'm carrying it around with me in my purse. So this used to live in that bag, but I needed that bag for this. And it turns out that everything just sort of fit here, so I was just accepting it. So these are the roll logs that I've made, and I have made a little bit more progress on this guy. So this is my, what would it be? My Jenkins Finch, which is cute and wee. And these are the roll logs that I made after taking Judith McKenzie's Glorious Downs class. So it is a mixture of undyed camel, dyed camel silk, and undyed kiviot. And it is super duper fluffy, and right now I think I'm working through actually a more kiviot-y bit. And I'm just trying to draft this super fine in order to get as much yardage as humanly possible, and then I'm going to ply it with a white silk thread that I ended up getting from Joann's. And I figure that if I carry it around with me, I'm more likely to make progress on it than if it is living in my bag and only getting worked on at knit night. So knit night is a little bit of a challenge during the summertime because it is hot, it is uncomfortable, and there's stuff going on, and vacations, and so it's not been happening as much as I would like, but it's also a little bit challenging because it isn't like, what would it be? I have not been seeking out alternative at nights, or it tends to be that I already have plans, I don't know, whatever. So as a result, I'm sure I could rearrange my schedule ever so slightly and make other things work, but whatever. So I figure if I carry this around, I'm more likely to work on it, and it is pretty nice to work with. It is very luxurious, and the roll log is easy to spin. They're probably compressed the way I'm storing them, but that probably isn't the end of the world. And it's interesting to sort of see how the colors come together. It's possible that when I'm done with this, I might end up dyeing the finished yarn, because what would it be? I think the final color isn't quite to my taste. It's sort of it's more on the pastel side. I just need to loosen the shaft up a little bit and put everything back in. So the hope is that I can make like a pretty thing with it if I get enough yardage, because this is probably one of the rare times that I get to work with Kiviet, so it needs to be something. And then my little spindle's safe, and I can shove it in my Tom Bid bag and not worry about it. So we'll see how this roll out below thing works, but like I have my silk thread all ready to go. I hope that I run out because I only have 100 meters of the silk thread, and I would like to have more than 100 meters of yarn. So I figure if I keep spinning in my purse, then it can fit into those small times of waiting. So a little bit spinning heavy this week, but such is life. It probably will be spinning heavy next week as well. I just say that wrong, whatever. So what would it be? I should be able to record next week. I might end up deciding to record later, because by then the house will be on the market, so prone to interruptions, I believe. What would it be? This is my first time occupying a house while selling it. But the good news is that it's going on the market this week, so only, however, whatever, it's a little late, it's not terrible, better than expected. So I should be able to record next week. It may be odd, but we'll just accept it. What would it be? And then I suspect I'm going to go on a hiatus for the rest of July, so I'll probably come back and be like, Tour de Fleece! It's over now! Because I don't think that I want to, I don't know, it's hard. Depends on how things end up breaking out. Maybe that I need to bring my computer with me, and then it would definitely make sense or whatever, it would definitely be a possibility to record that. So figure something out. I haven't given it a lot of thought, but now that I've given it more thought, I'd be like, so, but I'll be in whatever. I may or may not record during my decadent vacation. So after SSK, I'm spending several days with my family, and then a bit less days with my husband's family. So, and there will be a trip to Lake Michigan to be on the beach, and I'm excited. It will probably result in sunburn. But yeah, no, much excitement to be had. I have all of my donations for SSK ready to go. I have my stitch markers ready to go. I'll probably end up packing all of my empty Lendrum bobbins so that I don't get stuck in the awkward zone. I was in the awkward zone the last SSK 2017 when I was borrowing a matchless, which is an annoying wheel to do a class on. It might have been a ladybug. I don't know. One of the two. The shocked wheels are not as nice as the Lendrum for bobbin changing. So, if I have my own bobbins, then that makes life way easier with respect to being able to keep my samples and not needing to feel obligated to finish my samples in class. So we'll see how that goes. But I may end up doing a little play today with what sock scraps I have to figure out what makes sense for the plant pooling class. Some of them look pretty obvious, but what would it be? especially the ones where like I've already like tossed the socks that they're associated with. So I think that's going to be the play for whatever, the play that's coming up. So hopefully I'll have all my thoughts put together for my plant pooling class. We can go from there. So with that, I hope you guys have a lovely week, and I look forward to talking to you guys soon. So take care, guys. Bye-bye.